Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. What's up, everybody? Another episode here with Mr. Mike Horner. We're going to talk about prep tonight. How's the prepping?
Prep's prepping. Yeah, man. I had to dig deep this week with that. You wouldn't think that 50 grams of carbs makes that much of a difference, but it was,
yeah, we went with a few days of low carbs. I like doing this kind of in the middle portions of prep. I've been playing around with it more, having we'll just take a few days and just mash the gas pedal down. Justin liked doing that when I've prepped with Justin before. We'll just take 2-3 days, and he's like, let's get some of that stubborn fat off and just eat it, basically. Eat protein and vegetables. And
just before we did that, I sent you those pictures of my glutes. I'm like, look, I'm finally starting to see my glutes. And then, this week it's definitely doing what we wanted to do. Yeah,
we might do a couple more rounds of that. What are we, 5 weeks out now?
4 weeks and 3 days.
4 weeks and 3 days. Yeah, shit, it's getting close. So yeah, I'd like to do 2 more, maybe do another round of that leading into the high day this week. When is your high day?
High day will be Friday. I had a high day 2 days before the last check-in.
Okay, so yeah, if we're gonna dig, I would maybe we can push the. Would it kill you if we push the high day to Saturday, or do you want to keep it on Friday?
Only because
I see the look on your face.
Yeah, only because that's Friday. The day I train quads, and that's
Okay, we'll leave it Friday.
Sucked lately, yeah. So.
Yeah, I do like to keep the high days aligned with legs on contest prep. Because that is people ask me if there's any reason for it. It's just purely because it's your highest energy demand day, and it sucks training legs with no carbs on deck.
Yeah, that was today. I trained hamstrings and glutes today with pretty depleted, and it sucked.
By the way, I'm going to be very disappointed in Josh Perry if he's not in the comment section tonight. I rely on Josh. He's not here. He's my comic relief on these things.
Oh, he'll pop in, I'm sure.
Yeah, might be past his bedtime. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll leave it on Friday. We'll leave it. So maybe we'll just do a 2-day dig where we just dig for 2 days. Maybe do Wednesday, Thursday. We'll go down to the no carbs and no fats again.
Okay.
And try to dig you out. I don't like running it more than a couple days because it just after a while, I think even worse than the zero carbs is the zero fats. The zero fats, after a couple days of doing it, man, you just feel like dog shit.
Yeah. I think the only we didn't do a zero carb, zero fat day.
Did we? We haven't done that yet. Yeah, for some reason I thought we did.
We just took the carbs out of we took 50 grams of carbs out. 25 from the pre-workout and 25 from the post-workout.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I can't keep everything in track. So what I want to do, Mike, is do a dig, and this is what I'll do with some people where we just take 2 days and just do nothing but protein and vegetables.
Okay.
It's gonna fucking suck. It's gonna stink. So it's basically protein sparing modified PMFS or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Old school bodybuilding diet, cod and asparagus. You don't have to do cod though.
I've done it, man. Fish and egg whites.
Yeah, egg whites, man. I had a lot of people just have digestive issues with egg whites lately. It's been.
Oh, really?
Yeah, egg whites. They have a high sulfur content, and it really can fuck your stomach up. Also, it's. I've had to correct a few people on this a few times. The guys that are drinking egg whites, eggs the proteins, the protein in eggs is very tightly folded, if I recall correctly, and that protein gets denatured when you cook it, and so that those proteins unfold. In raw egg whites, you only absorb about half the actual protein that's in it. It just ends up just sitting in your fucking gut. So you have to you have to cook the protein to unfold those, or cook the eggs to unfold that protein to make it so your body can absorb it.
Okay.
So for those of you that are drinking raw egg whites out there, don't do it. You're only getting about 50% of the that and salmonella. You know, there's always that too.
Well, not if you have the pasteurized.
Yeah, I don't. The pasteurized in theory should have been heated, but I don't know if it's enough to unfold the protein.
Curious to know.
It's funny. Tanya said, I've been telling people forever that cooked eggs are more bioavailable. Yeah, and that's true with some other proteins too, because the heating causes the proteins to unfold.
Yeah.
On certain things, but I know eggs are a bad one for that. That raw eggs are, you're really just kind of wasting your effort drinking your.
Tanya always has smart things to say too.
Yeah, Tanya's great. Yeah. Amy said the the PSF I always slaughter this protein sparing modified fast, if I can say it. PSMF. Will drop fat fast. Yeah, I do it once in a while on prep with people. I've done it myself, where you'll just take a couple days and just zero carbs, zero added fat, just protein and veggies. So let's do that. We'll run that, Mike. We'll run that on. I want to dig you out, and then hopefully when we're 2 weeks out, we can have you pretty much ready. Really, like kind of the last fat kind of maybe 10 to 7 days out. After that, we gotta kind of deload and reverse into the show, so you're not fucking just dragged out.
Yeah. So do you want me to stay at 150 grams of carbs on the days that we're not doing the PMSF?
Yeah. This is just a short-term thing, just a 2-day thing.
Okay.
This should dig some fat off. And then we'll see where you're at when we go straight back to the regular diet,
which is 200 grams was the medium day before.
Yeah, let me pull that up. It's 150 now.
Yeah. Pulled that out last week.
Yeah, that's kind of 150 is sort of my floor. You're better off going zero carb at that point, and the reason why I do, there's some, you can look at some studies, but they say around 150 grams of carbs is what a grown man needs for just basic central nervous system function. And then, like, if you kind of get in that, if you yank all the carbs and then push the fat up, like we kind of do on the low days, in theory, that should be enough to get you in ketosis. Sometimes I'll put MCT oil in on the low days, like every other meal. Just, that helps with energy, but the 150, when you get below 150, your brain just kind of doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
I get it. Yeah.
That's another thing too. Like, people talk about ketones. With ketones, you're like your central nervous system can only run on about 50 to 60% of ketones, and then your body just goes into gluconeogenesis to get the protein necessary or the glucose necessary for the remainder. And now different people respond differently, but don't quote me on these exact numbers, but that's what I recall off the top of my head. So really, if you don't want to feel like ass, 150 grams of carbs is kind of the floor for a grown man.
Yeah. So we'll do some medium days leading up to, like, okay, so I'm training. Tomorrow's an off day, so it'll be a low carb day.
Okay.
And then
perfect.
Then we'll get do Wednesday and Thursday as those dig deep days. And
we'll do those dig.
I call them on Friday.
Yeah, we'll do a high carb day on Friday. Okay. And we may even put a little extra carbs in that high carb day. So I would check back in with me on Thursday We'll see what you look like, see what you feel like, but I expect that you're probably going to drop a bit of fat. You're going to be flat.
Yeah, I'm flat now. Like,
Blue collar bottom. What's up, Dave and Jackie here? What's up, guys? Do you DP? Do you recommend the PSMF on non-training days? Well, I do usually on non-training days. I leave some fats in so you just don't feel like dog shit. You have some substrate for energy. Blue collar bottom. He gives $2 for slot machine fun. I owe you $2, Mike. I have I talk about it. People that donate to the channel, I usually end up with, I don't know, at the end of the year, I end up with $1,500, $2,000 in money from people that donate from the channel. That's my take everybody out to dinner fund when we go to shows.
That's the Brazilian steakhouse one.
Yeah, the $2,000 dinner or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I paid for like 25 people. There were a lot of people at that table.
Yeah.
But if you're going to take bodybuilders out, you got to do it in a buffet. That's the only way you take bodybuilders out.
Yeah, it's tough. I love a good steakhouse, and this town's full of them. Right? It's like, I did go get a steak and a plain potato right after I got here at my favorite steakhouse, but that was about it.
Jay Gambler, I'm just under 5 weeks out. Do you do a mock peak week at all just to see how you're? Well, yeah, Mike did a show already, so we've done a peak week. So we already have that under the belt. Mike, when was your show? Like 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago?
Yeah. May 2nd. So we also did, if you remember, like the weeks going into the show, we did like a couple, like 1,200 carb days or whatever.
Yeah, just to test the limit.
Kind of test the waters. Kind of a mock peak. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been more conservative with the food on the peaks. I've been spreading the carb up over a couple days. Lately, I find that people hold less water when I do that. Food, digestion always kind of sucks towards the end of the prep because of all the orals, all the, stimulants, and then just your body's stressed out. Your fats are low when you're not eating fats. Digestion kind of sucks. So your turds turn into sawdust. They're dried out. It gets really hard. Digestion really takes a hit. So I don't know. I've been playing around with peak weeks this year and being a little more conservative with them with the food. And I've actually been yanking protein lower on the day before the show and the day of the show. Like really, you just need enough to keep from being catabolic. There's not going to be any muscle protein synthesis going on peak week, really.
No.
So I am prioritizing digestion and getting people dried out and keeping them somewhat full. Now, I will say this, unless you're a super heavyweight, being the fullest guy on the stage game usually doesn't work out in your favor. I just been my experience. I will say this, though, with older guys, I tend to be a little more aggressive with the carb ups. I tend to be less aggressive with the drying out because it seems like older guys tend to flatten out worse. And then when you have that loose skin too. Yeah. But, in the drying out process, though, I see a lot of times that loose skin does vacuum up. It seems to Justin calls it shrink wrapping, but that's what I have seen is as you dry people out, they tend to.
Well, the picture I sent you the other day after I dropped all that water was I was noticing that the skin is already sort of tightening up, and using I don't know if the GK copper or whatever it is doing anything or not, but there's some a product also that I found that has that same thing in it that the Canadian Preparation H has.
Yeah.
I had my aunt who lives in Canada send me some of that when I did my first show, and I was surprised at how well it tightened the skin up. But
let's look at your pictures. This was, yeah, you were kind of watery.
hey, Jay, put your Instagram in the chat so I can look at your pictures.
This was that was when you were watery, and then this was, yeah, you dried out there.
But the skin's tightened up quite a bit there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing with being an old guy. You just have the loose skin. I have it too, man. Well, I had a mini tummy tuck. I had skin excision done. I have mixed feelings about it. I think it helped, but like, man, that surgery fucking sucked.
Well, if I can get even a top 10 finish here at this show, I'm probably pretty motivated to come back and actually finally get that surgery.
It's a brutal recovery. I mean, you plan on a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a solid year before the inflammation went down.
It's a solid year though of building muscle and getting ready to contend for a pro card.
Yeah, it's a tough go. We'll be curious to see how many people show up. Last year in the 50 class, there was about 60 people in that class last year. It was pretty deep.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Dave,
deep.
my sleep has been I've had some off nights for sure, but it's mostly been good because I'm not really doing anything but eating, training, and resting here. So I'm able to get some naps in and go out to the pool, and my recovery, I think, has been pretty good. But there's been some nights where it's hard to sleep because it's still hot in the coach at night or whatever, sweating through the blankies.
That's why I got a giant industrial fan. I keep blowing on me.
I've got three fans and another portable air conditioner that I've got running in here because 113 today and the two on the roof don't keep up. So, and I'm not everyone in this RV park that I'm staying in here has the same setup. They've got extra ACs and silver stuff all over the windows. And
well, I mean, it's hot as fuck in Vegas, man. I can't imagine. That's not a normal scenario.
No.
Oh, I see on your picture, I see the fan up next to the bed.
Yeah. 2.5, Amy. 2.5 every night.
2.5. I need to give it a try.
You know what the coolest thing about training here in Vegas is?
What's that?
Whether I'm at the Lair or there's almost always another or a few IFBB pros and usually at least one Olympian in the gym every time I go to work out.
That's cool shit.
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty inspirational.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been going in the morning over here to Lair, and like Hunter Henderson's in there training usually around that same time, and she's just incredible.
She's unreal, man. She's got to be one of the strongest women on the planet.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah,
I saw her squat.
Fitness too. There's a bunch of Olympian qualified.
I saw her squat 6 plates.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Unfucking real, man. Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah, and she's super cool too. You know, I see her posing all the time. We had this little interaction the other day talking about veins because we're both looking at our veins and talking about phlebotomists.
Yeah, she seems pretty cool. I if I recall correctly, she had some health issues too. I think she has one kidney.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember seeing her talk about that. So what she's done with her body is pretty insane. But yeah, she's very impressive. Yeah, it's. Do you see Flex in there at all, or?
No, I haven't ran into Flex there. I think he might actually been walking out one day when I was walking out of the gym. He was a few steps ahead of me. I did go to Fit Club the other day. There was like this gas gathering, and Aaron kind of warned me. You know, he goes, "It's going to be lame. It's going to be a bunch of idiots there trying to get free T-shirts or something." And it wasn't as lame as all that, but you know, it wasn't, you know, Jay Cutler wasn't walking around or anything at the Fit Club. And I know Fit Club isn't half the gym that these other ones are. I mean, there's some fantastic Torture where I trained at when we were here for the Olympia is another great one. And I think, you know, Flex has really done an incredible job of just creating a hive there at the Lair where
culture.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Yeah,
just,
I've heard it's a pretty small place, but it's a great culture.
yeah. Yeah. I actually like the equipment better at Cole Fitness. There's a lot more Panada and different stuff that I really like training on, but
Yeah, culture's important. It's motivating to be around a bunch of bodybuilders. My gym's full of guys that are pro bodybuilders and power lifters and stuff. And the guy that owns the gym's a judge, and so it's nice. I can always, just when I need an opinion, I grab him, and he comes in and looks at me in the posing room. And is like, work on this, work on that.
yeah.
It's cool having a guy that's a pro judge at your gym.
Yeah.
You can get that opinion. Um, did I lost your mic? You still there?
Yeah. It says my camera was unplugged. What's going on?
Battery go dead or something?
Maybe.
Well, while you're looking at that, let's talk about your cycle. What are things looking like with the cycle right now?
We are, yeah, I think my battery went dead.
You got to get one of those things where I have a converter that you can just plug it up to the wall. They're like $30 on Amazon. All right,
really?
Yep. I'll send you. Well, it depends on the camera you have. There you go.
Well, I just got my webcam on. Yeah, send me a link to it if you.
Yeah, you can look for them. They're battery converters. You just plug it in the bottom of your.
Oh, it
bottom
replaces
of your,
the battery like on the Canon. Yeah.
yeah, and you just plug it up, and then you don't have to worry about it again.
Yeah, you'll have to look at me and not HD.
Marty said I left Planet Fitness. There's only broccoli heads, but it's open 24. I left at Planet Fitness. There's broccoli heads there, but it's open 24/7. Okay, cycle. What's going on with the cycle right now?
So what we're at 675 test and 500 mass, 500 primo, 50 Anavar pre-workout, and on your advice, I upped it to 1 milligram every other day on the aromatase inhibitor, the anastrozole.
Yeah, that'll probably help with the water retention, man. And that heat too. It's going to be harder managing water retention.
So what I noticed is when that particular day, there's been a few days where it's been bad, but that day was particularly bad. And the next day, I unintentionally missed my GH dose, and I also forced myself to drink like 2 gallons of water. So it's hard to know what happened. I didn't change the anastrozole protocol yet, but I dried way out that day.
Well, it's probably just not taking the GH.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that maybe cutting the dose down to 3 and 3 instead of 6 and 6. I mean, what
Yeah, I would lower the dose.
Okay.
I would lower the GH, and then probably as we get closer to the show, just yank it all together, maybe like 10 days out.
I think that's what we did last time. We yanked it like 7 or 10 days out.
Yeah, some people have a lot of water retention. There's these knobs that you turn at the end of prep based on your look. GH is something that we can use for fullness. If we need fullness, obviously more carbs works for fullness.
Yeah.
Anadrol, Superdrol, or something that we can put in play for fullness if needed. Halotestin helps too. If you need to be harder, then I like to crank up the Winstrol, yank the test, pull the GH out. Anything that can cause water retention. Smashing the estrogen. I know there's people will say that you shouldn't smash the estrogen. It's one of those weird things that the science says one thing, but every fucking pro bodybuilder smashes their estrogen at the end, and that's how you get dried out.
Well, and I think that might have something to do with me being so lethargic through my workout earlier today too.
Oh yeah, when your estrogen's crushed, the workouts suck.
Yeah. And it was really a particular level of suck today. I was having a hard time just wanting to even get through it. And then as soon as I got back here, like I felt like my energy level popped back up, but man, it wasn't good.
Well, you've been prepping for a long time too, man. It's a long time on an old body to be in a prep.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Last year, I kind of wish I just went ahead and done it, but I thought about doing Master Worlds, which was only 4 weeks after my show. And I just couldn't stomach the thought of being in prep for another 4 weeks. I was like, I'm done. I went to Mexico City for a trip and ate a bunch of food, and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely done with prep. I thought maybe if I went to Mexico City and came back, then I'd be motivated to go back into prep mode and do that show, but nope.
Yeah.
Nope, wasn't doing it. And
because you probably would have tore your shoulder up even more.
Yeah, probably would have ripped my bicep tendon right out.
Yeah, I was doing really good. I trained chest again the other day, and I did the flies again, and I feel like that is the hardest thing. But between the physical therapy 3 days a week and the TV 500 BPC 157 protocol, I feel like my shoulder's doing pretty good, like it's hanging in there. So
the milk, man. Does 20 milligrams of Anavar give you guys chest pains? I don't know. It shouldn't do that, man. Never heard of that before.
High blood pressure will give you chest pains, though.
Yeah, high blood pressure can do that. Usually when I get high blood pressure, I feel it in my head. I get headaches. Yeah, I would check your blood pressure. Maybe it's D-ball. I've seen UTL Anavar that's actually D-ball.
Yeah.
I'll get bros saying, man, I'm getting bloated on this Anavar. Anavar is making me bloated. And I'm like, well, that's because it's not fucking Anavar.
Yeah.
Anavar is not going to bloat you up under any circumstance.
Yeah, I've got I don't know, it's the same Anavar I was using in the last prep, so I can't blame my Anavar.
I think so.
The thought that did occur to me when I was starting to hold a bunch of water that maybe some of the gear I was doing wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Usually that's why one of the reasons why I like running one straw at the last couple of weeks, because one straw is super cheap and I just don't see it faked. No. I don't really see a lot of fake gear anymore. Although now with the shortages that are going on, I'm wondering if it's going to start happening again.
Well, and that's the thing. My sources are trusted, and it's all the same stuff that I've been using, except for the Masteron now is from someone new because there's been a Masteron shortage.
Yeah, I never thought I'd live in a world where I saw Masteron prices higher than Primobolan, but here we are. Yeah. Masteron is now the most expensive steroid you can get.
Yeah, I managed to get a pretty decent price on a 10-pack of it, so I jumped on it. But that's me. I always I do the same thing with like ammo. Like I buy it when there's a shortage. Like, I panic like everybody else.
It is the new gold bar for steroids. It's the most expensive one right now. Yeah. I never thought I'd live in that world.
But I do. This is the first time I've done that combination. Was this last contest prep? I do feel like I have less side effects as far as libido and stuff goes. When I did Primo only prep, I definitely had like no libido at all.
Yeah, Masteron. I like to run them side by side because in theory, that we don't have a lot of science on this, but in theory they act differently on estrogen. And I like, this is just sort of my thought process. I like having that SERM and AI effect because we believe, we're not 100% sure, but there is a belief that Masteron acts more like a SERM. I had somebody telling me on the comment section the other day that there's zero evidence of that. I'm like, yeah, I know. There's no studies. Yeah. There's also no studies that actually show that Masteron is anabolic at all either. So it causes muscle growth. But clearly we know that It does. It's wild. I remember doctors used to say up until the 90s, like that steroids didn't grow muscle. I remember hearing that shit, and yeah, like clearly it doesn't. But anyway, yeah, I find Masteron really good for your sex drive. It does seem to dry you out a bit more than Primobolan does. And they're mildly, they're so similar that most fake UGL Primo used to be Masteron, but now that it's more expensive, maybe it's the other way around.
Well, I had that same thing. Like it could be NPP, right, or it could be DECA and not Masteron, and then I just get water retention. I get estrogenic side effects. I get, all this stuff. I don't know. I don't have time to have it tested.
Let's see. Crazed MMA. I can hear my dog burping back here. Masteron is definitely
picture.
Masteron is definitely anabolic, and it has the least side effects in me, at least, although I don't get any sex drive. Yeah, I mean, I find it to be the most gentle on blood work out of all of the anabolics. I just prefer Primobolan personally for off season. For contest prep, I kind of lean towards Masteron. It's ultimately you kind of got to figure out what works for you and just roll with it.
Yeah, and I don't think the increase in libido is directly linked to Masteron. I think the increase in libido is just from less Primobolan.
Primobolan smashes your estrogen, and estrogen's definitely related to sex drive. And your estrogen is smashed, you have no sex drive. So it could have to do with that. And we don't see the same effect of lowering estrogen on Masteron as we do on Primobolan. It's that much is clear. I know that you won't find studies that show that, but there definitely is a strong lowering of estrogen on Primobolan that's not present with Masteron. So it very well could be interrelated with that. And it's also, it's also a potent DHT derived androgen. I find that my sex drive is higher on Masteron. Anyway, it's just anecdote at the end of the day. Any questions, guys, please pop them in the comment section below. All right, so plan for this week, we are going to do the hard push. We'll do another live next week since we're getting closer to the show. I think people will be interested to see how these last few weeks go. And we'll start talking about peak week about 2 weeks out. That's usually when I start planning the peak week. And I'll pull the curtain back a little bit on my peaking protocols, which are constantly evolving. And really, peak week is just, you kind of just got to see how the body reacts. I have a general framework I follow, but a lot of it's just you see how people react. And I'll be there at the event, so we can keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually get in on Tuesday.
I'm flying out of here on Saturday, so I'll be there quite a bit early, and that's also planning around the peak week protocol that we did last time, and my flying and stuff. So
yeah, we might make some adjustments to it, but we'll see how it's going to be similar. We might get a little more aggressive with drying out. We'll see how things go.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's just going to be how you feel, how you look, and we'll play it as we go. That's like what people are always asking me about peak week, and I'm like, it's really hard to say. I mean, it's pretty simple in philosophy. You want to go out into the peak week, 7 to 10 days out, you should be done with the fat loss process. You're done at that point. Usually I like to pull the cardio back, pull the intensity of the training back a bit, let your body, it's almost like a deload, let your body freshen up a little bit, try to lower stress. A lot of times I'll lower fat burners or even sometimes yank them out completely. And then we slowly start, we'll reintroduce. Sometimes I do a depletion, sometimes I don't. Just depends if we need to dry people out. Really, the depletion day is more for water retention than anything, if needed. And then I'll take 2 to 3 days to sort of fill people out, put a little more fat and carbs back into the diet, fill people out. And then the day before the show, we dry out. We start the drying out 2 days out at night. And then the day before the show, we continue to dry out, and that's pretty much it. That's the process. Pull cardio back. I usually don't like guys doing a lot of cardio, just walking. Nothing super stressful. We want to wash off some of that stress going into the peak week. I think when stress is lower, you look better, you feel better, you're going to have a better look on stage.
Well, I've got Jen flying here, and then we're both flying from here to Pittsburgh, and
okay.
She's under direction to not. We'll pack all my meals for that day because that should be the carb up day, and pack all the meals, and she has to feed me, and I'm not allowed to eat anything else. So if I get a little twisted on Ativan, I don't go flying into a McDonald's or something stupid again. So,
okay, we got Barry ask a question here. Any way to reduce the tendency to retain water when traveling, especially flying? A lot of times, dude, like what I'll do is I end up just fasting when I fly. If I have to fly, I'll hold my food until after, and that seems to help. Getting up and moving around on the plane, like not staying in the seat for too long. I find driving that most people don't retain water because you can stop. You don't have the I don't know what it is specifically about flying that makes you retain water. Maybe it's the air pressure changes. I don't know, or just that you're crammed up, or all the above. But you definitely have to be careful with sodium intake. Make sure you're hydrated. Oh, people are also not drinking, which seems counterintuitive, but a lot of times when you don't drink, you end up retaining more water. So there is that factor too, and that you're crammed up in a tube, a pressurized tube, and people tend to hold water. I hold water bad after I fly sometimes. I got first class seats the last time I flew. Last couple times I flew, and that seemed to help. And then the ability, and I try to make a point to get up and walk around every 30 minutes or so. I'm sure it fucking drives people nuts, and then stretch my legs out and move my feet.
Yeah, we're business class on the way out there for that reason. Give me a little more room. I really never had
pressure changes, as well as magnetic fields, radiation, being close to the sun combines a lot of fucked up physiological things. All of the above. What were you saying, Mike? Sorry.
Oh, that my experience hasn't been that I retain a lot of water on flights, but I also have never had the problem I'm having right now in the heat and everything else. So there's always something.
No, heat does it to people. Yeah. Scott asked, do you pull back on added salt a bit or pull it altogether? I generally try to keep the salt consistent going into the shows. You can usually, what I've seen is when people start playing with salt, manipulating salt, you just end up making fucking shit worse. You can have a rebound effect, and in fact, usually what I find is when people come out of shows, they're hyponatremic. They're actually depleted in sodium. It's because we're drinking all that water. You're not really eating high sodium foods going into the show. If there are diuretics in place, generally diuretics are going to cause sodium excretion. So yeah, I usually try to leave sodium in place unless somebody is super water retentive. I see guys that'll yank sodium completely, and then they just end up not looking good. Rand Parsons said it's prolonged immobility, cal cabin pressure, low humidity. Yeah, sorry, low. He meant to not cal.
I'm sure low. Yeah.
We also need more salts when we fly because hydration and things. A lot of people don't have enough, and they retain water too. All right, good contributions, everybody. Any other questions, folks? I'm probably going to wrap this up.
Yeah, when you mentioned last week that you thought that my SLU PP332 dose was kind of low.
Yeah,
and that I thought 500 was a lot, and you're like, no, just you're picking 1,015. So I doubled it a couple days just to try to see
How'd it go?
how I react. Well, I don't feel. I don't know. I don't ever feel the stuff. So
I talked to another coach who is incredibly smart, a guy who is working on his PhD. I'll have an interview out with him tomorrow. And he said he has run up to 5 to 10 grams of it.
wow.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like
or milligrams,
a
or
little warmer.
Yeah.
When I'm doing it, right? Like I'll sweat more I've been getting up early and doing taking a walk through the park here, and I get my sun at the same time, and so I have this dark, lovely color, and just go walk without my shirt on, and I definitely feel like I sweat more when I'm on it. So
Marty says SLU hits me like a truck. I feel fatigued on it. I have not. I tried 500 milligrams, and I definitely was hot.
500 micrograms.
I don't know what the fuck that was about. No. All right, folks. Any last minute things? I need to wrap this up. It's been a long day. Oh, I want to answer this question, Scott. Maybe I missed it. Does he train the same as you, Paul, or more failure style training? Mike, how do you train?
I train, basically 2 reps in reserve. I've recently cut back on the volume, just to be more kind of in line with like the RP sort of philosophy, where 10 to 12 sets per exercise, where it used to be, or per training day, where it used to be more like 15 or 16. I do feel like my recovery is better. So
recently heard various Steve comment on master run, how it's not anabolic at all. Any thoughts? Well, from talking to people that know, there's really no studies that show that it's anabolic. Clearly it seems to have some anabolic effect, or maybe it's just it allows you to run. Look, we don't know for sure. It's not like there's a ton of fucking clinical studies out there on this shit. Not recent stuff.
Studies on master run are on women with middle-aged women with cancer.
Yeah, middle-aged women with cancer. So we just the honest answer is we don't know for sure. Clearly, there's some guys that have gotten big on it that are in the pros. I mean, I know John Jewett loves it, and he's as big as anybody. But I also sometimes wonder if it's really the master on, or if it's the fact that it allows you to run testosterone at really high doses without side effects. Like Primobolan itself is on paper pretty fucking weak. But I think the reason why Primobolan works well for me is because I tend to be a high estrogen converter, except last year when I crashed my estrogen. And what Primobolan does is it just basically makes the testosterone work better. I have a higher free testosterone level. It mitigates estrogen conversion, and I am allowed, I have the ability to run my testosterone doses higher, and there is some anabolic effect from Primo. So it really, honestly, like I've thought about this a lot. Like I think the primary drivers of growth, of getting bigger, are testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin. Really, everything else is sort of secondary.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my opinion.
We're running my tests lower on this prep than we did last prep, just because I've been on prep for so long.
Yeah, and that also has to do with the look too. Like more testosterone is going to equal more water retention. So that's another knob that we can turn on prep. We'll pull the testosterone down. I've been working with AJ Sims in his mentorship program. He actually will yank testosterone out completely for some people, and just not even having it at all. And he gets people drier and harder than anybody I know. So I mean, it's just it's one of those things you just kind of have to take it. You kind of just have to take it by how your body responds. I don't have a problem with master run. I really hate this whole master run versus Primobolan argument. It's Silly. There are tools in the toolbox. Use the one that works the best for you.
Yeah, there was a guy who did a video the other day on people ignoring the largest study that's ever been done on bodybuilding.
Rice 41. Is there any value adding low dose MPP, DECA? I mean, I wouldn't on contest prep. MPP
No.
is just going to make you hold water and convert more testosterone. It's going to upregulate estrogen conversion. Oh, to promote anabolism. I mean, it's a tool. I honestly, in my younger days, Nandrolone was my favorite PED for putting on size, but it's just wrought with so many side effects I can't handle anymore. And I find most people long term can't handle Nandrolone. It's spin the wheel with side effects. Your water retention, high blood pressure, high estrogen, gynecomastia, erectile dysfunction, anxiety, depression. I mean, basically every bad side effect you could possibly have. Now, some people don't get that, so that's one of those things where it is. People are so biodiverse and how they respond to the stuff. You just kind of got to play around with it. But I used to love my old school cycles when I was younger was test, EQ, and DECA. That was my favorite cycle for putting on size. I thought that was a great way to put on size. I mean, that's kind of what the old school bodybuilder guys would do: test, EQ, DECA, the early '90s, and some D-ball. that was how you got big. That'll definitely get you big.
I drive your blood pressure through the roof too.
Yeah, you might have a 170 over 100 blood pressure, but nobody gave a fuck about it in 2001.
Well,
that's why there's so many guys with kidney disease now.
Well, it's interesting too because I before I started working with you 2 years ago, I didn't regularly check my own blood pressure. I just every time I went to the doctor, it checked out fine, right? So I just never thought about it if I gave blood or whatever. Here's Josh.
There's Josh. Oh my God. It is not a live stream without Josh. I feel naked without Josh here. He's my security blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rice 41 sounds like it's just better to have more tests. I mean, there was a saying in old school bodybuilding. You know what it is, Mike.
Test is best.
Test is best. I don't know. My humble opinion that this and $7 will get you a latte at Starbucks. My humble opinion, like I would just, if you want to grow, test and GH, start there. And then you figure out which anabolic you tolerate and helps let you run your test even higher. That's kind of how I would build my cycle out if you're trying to grow.
Little Josh Perry story. He commented on the live stream yesterday about his hack squats, and he had asked me a similar question on my live the other day, and I thought he was trolling me. So I answered reverse grip, right? Like just trying to be funny back, but he was actually serious with the question.
I know Josh jokes so much we don't know when he's being serious.
Yeah, definitely got to get out of the glutes on the reverse grip hacks for sure.
Well, Josh is my VIP. He is. I wish I could give him a gold star or something to show that he is the most important guy on my channel. Barry, Tren and Anavar are the best to prevent muscle loss during cuts. I mean, it depends. I mean, any anabolic's going to help. I would say GH probably. Tren, there is some studies where I don't recall correctly, but I think most of the studies on Tren are on animals, not on humans. But Tren was one of the few that actually showed that you could grow in a caloric deficit, which is, from what I understand, I could be pulling this out of my ass and completely wrong, but from what I recall, that's the reason why they use it in cattle, because when they're sent off to the feedlot and at the end of finishing off cattle for slaughter, that's a very stressful environment where cattle end up losing size, and Tren keeps the mass on them. How do you feel about the recent compounds discussion with regards to females? I had good results with MPP. and Anadrol, but I haven't tried Primo and Mast. I am not up to speed on what's going on with PEDs with women. I mean, in theory, for women, Nandrolone doesn't convert to DHT. It's a very low androgenic property. So I've often wondered why more women don't consider Nandrolone.
Primo has very little virilization too, right?
I've seen some stuff with women with Primo. I would say it's more potent at virilization than Anavar is. Oh, yeah. But if you don't give a fuck about virilization, then just, I have worked with pro female bodybuilders, and I had one tell me, just treat me like one of the dudes. Yeah. I've never heard of a woman taking Anadrol. That's the first for me, Tanya.
Jen just started taking growth for the first time because she had been on retatrutide for a while, and she lost, I don't know, 22 pounds or something, but she lost so much muscle. She's like, I feel like anybody who's taking those GLPs who's not on GH just loses a lot of muscle.
Yeah, I mean, that is I don't remember the exact numbers, but on the semaglutide studies, I think something like 35 to 40% of the weight loss was muscle tissue. I would think an anti-catabolic like growth hormone might be helpful. They're working on the next generation of GLP-1s of putting in myostatin inhibitors with them.
Yeah, someone put out a video the other day calling that fake news. I think it was Steve, actually.
Yeah, myostatin has been. I put it in the I will believe it when I see it category. Yeah. Because it's been one of those things that has been talked about as the holy grail of bodybuilding for the last 30 years, and it's never actually materialized.
Well, but now interesting that Mike Israel did that video the other day, and then he published a link, and I'm not saying this to bash on him at all, but he published a link to the drug companies.
I looked at the study
report on it. Yeah, and it was like basically an investment pitch. It's like a pitch deck. You're like, yeah, invest in this company. We're developing this. It's like, man, I wonder if how much of that is, I'm not going to call it fake news like Steve, but how much of that is just investment,
The milkman, my ex-girlfriend stole my Anadrol after we broke up. It was my favorite compound, and she knew it. Well, she's an ex for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, I don't know. I just have not seen a myostatin inhibitor that actually works. And here's the thing: there is some crazy stuff that's going on with the world of drug research right now with the advent of AI. Yeah. AI is going to rapidly advance drug research, and I'm sure we're going to see some crazy shit over the next few years that's going to come. It should be the golden age of pharmacology, in theory.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. I want that one that makes me young, grows all my hair back. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, virile, that too.
Young and virile. All right, let's wrap this up. I am toast. I've been working since this is 12 hours straight. I've been working.
Yeah, I'm pretty cooked myself.
Typical day for me. I always say I'm going to take it easy, and I had no consult calls today and still ended up working 12 hours.
I think we had a lot of interaction today. I think this might be the magic time for these lives.
Yeah, if I do the later ones, it catches the people on West Coast.
Yeah.
We're going to miss all the people in Europe because they're asleep right now, but the Europeans get mad at me when I do the late ones. All right, folks. Well, we'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate each and every one of you. Take care, folks.